Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Bakersfield Business Partners podcast. My name is Duncan Harris, past president of Bakersfield Business Partners. We're a B&I chapter here in Bakersfield, and we started a podcast to highlight our excellent membership. And today we have Richard Gauthier, the owner of G&G Auto, here with us. Richard, good morning.
Good morning.
Richard, for those that don't know you, just really quickly give us a quick introduction about yourself and your business.
We have a general auto repair. We don't have a specialty. We work on Asian and domestic cars, European cars, light-duty diesel pickups.
Yeah.
We do it all.
Where's your shop located?
In Bakersfield, 3410 Fruitvale Avenue in the northwest part of Bakersfield.
How long have you been working with G&G?
We started G&G 14 years ago from scratch.
And you've been in the auto business a little longer than that.
Yeah, I came out of the dealership business. I worked in and managed car dealerships for 29 years.
Awesome. Well, I love it. I taken my car to G&G many times. You guys always do a great job. Today, I kind of wanted to touch on maybe the most stressful or anxious part of any car owner, and that is when they hear the noise in their car and they call the repair shop, and they usually say something like, "Hey, can you look at my car? Can you plug it in?" Tell me how that usually goes at G&G Auto.
Well, that's where it all starts. We tell our people, nothing starts in our business without a phone call. I mean, people don't just kind of walk in. And people have questions. And most of the time, this is from our side, a lot of times people don't really know the right question to ask. So it's whatever's on their mind, whatever stands out. And again, people want to know what's wrong with their car. And we actually have an internal saying that we're not dealing with a repair, we're dealing with a situation. And, we're not dealing with a wheel bearing, remove and replace. We're dealing with a single mom that has a noise in her car and she's got to get to work and get the kids to school.
Yep.
So we try to focus on that. I mean, we're not always successful, but that's our focus. That's what we try to do and be aware of that. So anyway, people call and say, "Okay, what's it take?" Well, we don't quote prices over the phone because there's no point. There's too many variables.
Sure.
And usually somebody doesn't really need to know what it costs over the phone because it doesn't really give you any information to make a decision.
Okay.
One place can give you a super low price and get you in, and another place can give you a high price so they're safe when you get there. Well, either way, there's not good enough information to make a decision.
Sure. There's just too many systems on a car.
Too many systems, too many variables. So we want to look at the car first and then work out where to go from there, and we don't charge for that.
So if I hear a noise in my car, it's making a screeching noise, I can bring it in. I call you guys up, I bring it in, and essentially it's like a free diagnostic service that you're providing. I mean, initially, is that kind of right?
Well, that's tough because we call it a free look.
Free look. Okay.
And we'll pull codes on it if it has a check engine light.
Okay.
We'll do a quick look at something if that if that leads to something that we can see quickly. If there's a noise like that, get in it, drive it around the block, get it on the lift. You know what I mean? See if we can verify it really quickly.
Yeah.
But if we can, 10, 15 minutes of looking at it, of an actual mechanic, looking at it with a lift, checking it out. And if we can figure it out in that amount of time, then there's no charge for that.
Awesome. Okay. Now let's say you bring the car in and, the problem's a little trickier to solve. I mean, talk about that with all the new computers and stuff going on with these cars.
Yeah. If we need time to dive into it after that, yes, then we're going to quote time for our testing process.
Sure.
And it's just like you go to the doctor and you got a symptom and they need to verify it or they need to figure it out, they're going to send you for a battery of tests and labs and all that kind of stuff. It's not that much different for what we do. Then we have to go into a testing, inspection, verifying process that takes time. And really, our diagnosis time for us internally is the most expensive time that we have, because our best trained techs, our most expensive testing and diagnostic equipment we're using, and there's no parts involved, just time. And so, we look at an hourly margin, and so our margin is based on both parts and labor, and our testing time doesn't have any parts. So really for us internally, it's our most expensive time.
Got it.
But we don't pass that on. It just is what it is.
Are the newer cars, harder to diagnose maybe than a car was 30 years ago?
Yeah, it's not getting any easier.
Is it a different process,
Yeah, because everything is digital and electronic. I don't know, maybe a lot of people have heard that, modern cars the last 10 years and have over 70 computers, microprocessor boards in that car. And now with ADAS, which is assisted automatic driver assistance systems, there's radar and ultraviolet and various different things in the headlight or in the rear view mirror or in the windshield. Well, it used to cost a couple $100 to replace the windshield. Well, now it costs $1,500 to replace the windshield because it has all that stuff in the windshield. So everything is talking to each other. The window motor to roll the window up and down is talking to the body control module, which is talking to the speed sensor, and everything is talking to each other. And so, yeah, it can be to track down something like that. We say that a good part looks the same as a bad part, or a bad part looks the same as a good part. You have to track down the evidence and the electronic signals and all that stuff. So, yes, it can be more complicated.
Do you think people are having a hard time understanding that in terms of like how maybe expensive it is to truly and accurately diagnose what's going on in their car?
Everybody's, the people don't work on cars anymore. They're too complicated. So, when I'm growing up, I helped a buddy replace the engine in his 57 Chevy in our barn, when we were in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That stuff doesn't happen anymore. They're too complicated. So people don't work on cars very much anymore. And so people don't get the opportunity to learn automotive systems and how things work. So yeah, it's more complicated. And, our testing equipment, we have testing equipment that's like $12,000 to buy a computer thing that we use to plug into cars and read all the live data that's going on in that car. So yeah, it's complicated, and yeah, there's a cost to do that. Our product is our time and our knowledge. So if we're spending time on a car, that's our product. We're selling our time and what we know. So yeah, people have to pay for that time.
So once the problem is diagnosed, what should the customer expect from G&G?
Well, what we try to do, we found you're nervous when you don't know what's going on with your car. So if you call us, we're just going to tell you, bring it in as soon as you can. And we have taken our most experienced, best technician, and we have assigned him just to testing. So because he's not doing other repairs and he's just testing, and he's our best trained guy, we want to try to get your car tested as quickly as possible once it gets there. And our goal is to get it tested that day. And I don't know, it's a rough estimate. We're probably 80%, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Effective in actually getting a car tested the day that it arrives.
Right.
But then once we know what's wrong with it, now we can talk to somebody. Okay, we know what's wrong with it. Now here's a part situation on parts. Here's where we are time-wise, and this is what we can expect. And, then people get more comfortable because they at least know what the situation is. I think most people would agree that if you bring your car into a shop and it's a second or third day and we don't know what's wrong with it yet, that's a problem.
That's an issue. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so anyway, that's what we do. We're trying to get information back to you as quickly as we can.
Yeah. Okay, maybe last thing, tell me about how you invest in your mechanics, in your equipment, and maybe like the training just to keep up with all the new systems.
Oh boy. Yeah. Well, as anything, there's online training for most things. Mm-hmm. And we have online training just like lots of other industries do, or continuing education is actually what I meant to say.
How much time do you think your mechanics spend doing continuing education and new
Boy,
training?
That's a tough question because we look things up ongoing. We have services that we subscribe to that we have a problem that we haven't seen before, or the technician is learning through. Again, for example, we have a tech that did our we call him a lube tech. He does oil changes and services and tranny services and that stuff. And we just hired a new guy, and we moved our existing lube tech into what we call a C technician, A, B, and C technician. And so he's motivated and good, and he's been buying a bunch of tools, and so we're giving him a chance, and we love him. I mean, he's a great guy. So, but that is a process for him to learn, and so he learns from our lead tech, and so we paid the lead tech to be able to spend time. We also have services where they can call and actually get a factory tech, trained factory tech on the phone, give them the symptoms and what they're doing, and that guy will walk them through a complete diagnosis process. And we pay for that, and it takes time to do that. And we don't charge the customer for the time that we spend doing that. We consider that training time.
Cool.
But it happens, and it happens on a regular basis.
Sure.
In addition, we have classes that they do periodically in the evening, but we pay our people for the time that they spend learning.
Awesome. I love it. Well, last thing, what else should people know about G&G Auto, and why should they bring their car down there?
Well, we're committed to doing a good job. We want to try to get your car in as quick as possible. We have shuttle service. We are regularly taking people home, picking you up. We have a fleet of loan vehicles. So if we have a situation that is going to take a little bit longer and it's the only car, we do have loan vehicles available and get used all the time. They're always gone. So we try to do our best to help a person in the situation that they're in. And, it's not a perfect world. We don't always get it right, but we have very high standards, and we have a lot of systems and opportunities to help a customer in their situation.
I love it. Well, thanks for joining me here this morning, and go check out Richard's shop. If you hear a noise in your car, call up Richard. The phone number what's your phone number?
661-679-7957.
Perfect. Thanks for joining me, and until then, this is the end of our podcast. Have a good day, Richard.
All right, you too.
See ya.